Welcome to World Trade Insight. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, saving your money, being disciplined, but you're just not getting anywhere? Meanwhile, it seems like everyone else is just getting rich without even trying. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most powerful and honestly frustrating ideas in finance, the wealth snowball. And we're going to dig into why that beginning part is just so darn hard.
Man, this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that feeling. You know, you spend years saving, you're skipping the lattes, you're doing all the right things. And then you watch a coworker's portfolio jump by more in 3 months than you've managed to save your entire life. It feels infuriating. But listen, that feeling isn't a sign that you're failing. It's actually a sign you're exactly where you're supposed to be, in the toughest phase of the whole journey.
So let's call this first phase what it is, the brute force phase. Getting to that first $100,000 is like trying to push a giant heavy boulder up a steep hill. At this stage, it's 100% you. All of the effort, all of the energy, it's all coming from your own 2 hands. And yeah, it's supposed to feel almost impossible.
I mean, just look at the math in these early years. Almost all of your growth, we're talking like 95% of it, is just the cash you managed to save and put in. That magic of compounding that everyone talks about, it's happening technically, but the numbers are so small, it's pretty much invisible. It feels like it's not even there. Let's make this super real. Say you have $5,000 invested. You have an amazing year and get a 10% return. You know what that is? $500. I mean, that's great. It's a nice dinner, but it doesn't exactly feel life-changing, right? It can honestly feel like all that sacrifice was for nothing. And this, right here, is the moment so many people get discouraged and just give up.
So the most important thing you can do is to change how you think about this period. You're not failing, you're in what we should call the foundation phase. You are literally building a machine, a money-making machine that will one day work for you while you're sleeping. And just like the foundation of a skyscraper, all the really hard, crucial work is happening underground where nobody can see it. No one's going to pat you on the back for it.
But then, you stick with it, you keep pushing, and something absolutely incredible starts to happen. Once you cross a certain point, and it's often right around that $100,000 mark, the entire game changes. It's like the physics of your finances just flips. Suddenly, gravity isn't your enemy anymore. It's your best friend. That boulder you were pushing, it starts to roll all by itself. Your wealth snowball has just been activated.
And check out how fast things start to move. That first 100K might have taken you 8 long, grueling years. But the next 100K, that might only take 5. And the next one after that, maybe 3.5. Your savings are still super important, but now they've got this massive tailwind behind them. Your money is finally starting to do some of the heavy lifting.
And just think about how that same 10% return scales up. It's not just $500 for dinner anymore. On $100,000, that 10% is 10 grand. On $400,000, it's 40 grand. Pretty soon, you hit this mind-blowing moment where you have a year where your portfolio earns more money for you than you were able to save from your paycheck. That is the magic of compounding made real. Okay, so this incredible momentum leads us to this huge milestone that people call the crossover point. This is it. This is the moment where true financial freedom feels like it's right there within your grasp. But, and this is a huge but, this is also the exact point where people make the most devastating mistakes that can bring that beautiful, rolling snowball to a screeching halt. So what is this crossover point exactly? Well, it's that magical moment when your money starts making more money for you than your job does. It means your entire financial future is no longer completely dependent on you trading your time for a paycheck. You might still work, sure, but that deep down fear of getting laid off starts to fade away. Why? Because you've built a second income stream, one that never calls in sick. But just as you get to this amazing place, 2 really sneaky psychological traps pop up. The first one is what we call lifestyle inflation. It's that voice in your head that says, "Hey, I've made it. I deserve the nice car, the bigger house." The second trap is the urge to get fancy. You start thinking, wow, with all this money, I should be doing something really clever and complicated. Both are deadly to your momentum.
So you're at a fork in the road. Let's say you hit 700 grand. If you just stay the course, keep your lifestyle the same, you could hit $1 million in less than 4 years. But if you go out and buy that dream house and the fancy car, you might have just pushed that same goal back by 5, maybe even 10 years. You're essentially trading incredible financial speed for a little more comfort. right at the moment your snowball has the most power.
And what about that second trap, getting too complex? You might think, I've got all this cash, I should become a landlord or an angel investor. But what often happens is you end up trading your simple, passive, automated wealth machine for a super stressful second job that actually pays you less. You want to know the boring truth? A lot of the time, the absolute best thing you can do with a big portfolio is nothing at all. All right, this brings us to the final boss of this whole journey. And believe it or not, it's the hardest part. Once the math is on your side, once the snowball is rolling, the game is no longer about spreadsheets or picking the right stocks. It becomes a game you play entirely inside your own head. The final challenge is psychology.
So I want you to ask yourself this question. The money is there. The math works. It says you can be free. You can stop working tomorrow if you want to. And yet, most people don't. Why? What's really stopping you? Because it turns out the money was never the real barrier to begin with.
Here's the real reason. People are absolutely terrified the market will crash the day after they hand in their resignation. Or, even deeper, their entire identity for the last 30 years has been, I'm a lawyer, or I'm an engineer. Walking away from that feels like erasing who they are. The hard truth is, they've built a massive portfolio, but they haven't built a life that they actually want to retire into.
And that's exactly why that long, slow, boring middle phase is so incredibly important. It's not just a waiting room where you're killing time for your money to grow. No, it's your training ground. It's the time you have to build hobbies, to nurture relationships, to find a purpose outside of your job. It's how you make sure that when your money is finally ready for you, you are also ready for it.
And that really brings us to the final, most important idea. The real goal here isn't to hit some specific number in your bank account. True wealth is about building a life that is so full, so meaningful, and so engaging that your net worth just becomes background noise. The real finish line is that moment you realize you can just stop keeping score altogether.
Look, this journey is long, and that beginning is brutally tough. But understanding how the wealth snowball really works can give you the patience and the perspective you need to see it all the way through. Thanks so much for joining us here at World Trade Insight.